Hey, welcome back. Good to see everybody again. I figure with Wayne Neyens' 102nd birthday coming up at the end of the month, I figured this would be the perfect time to go through and talk about, or even look at some of the games that he's designed and see where the modern Gottliebs came from. I'm starting here with 1957. This is Ace High. This is going to be the only future pinball table I played tonight. This is one of the oldest of the games I have available for checking things out with. Um, Unfortunately, we don't have recreations of the pre-flipper games so much. So, if I wanted to go back to, what was it, 1949 was the first Wayne Neyens game. That was college days. He'd been on the assembly line and used his spare time putting together the pieces of the game over the course of a year. And college days was a unmitigated hit. Back then in 49, your average game would sell maybe 1,000 units, and college days sold over 2,000. So anyway, you can kind of see it if you look there at my little collage. You see the back glass for college days. It's got the college football theme going on. Anyway, beautiful game. Real sad that I don't get to share it. And so I'm going to actually jump forward 8 years to 1957 into the flipper era. The oldest game I could find reproduced digitally is an old wood rail. This thing's a lot of fun. This is Ace High. And if you look, I've got a screenshot of the back glass up in the back. And the game actually shows the back glass built around. This was designed for desktop play, but it also shows a couple of neat things. In addition to the wood, there's cigarette holders right there on the side of the wood rails. I try to imagine a modern pinball collector saying, "Oh yeah, just rest your smoke here on the side while you play a game." I've heard of people who don't even let you wear rings. Oh, nope, take the rings off. Don't want any scratches. These things are an investment. But here, way to carry your, take care of your smokes was right there in the game. Well, I'm talking all this time. You know what's really cool about playing pinball? Playing pinball. Oh, and of course, I go through all this challenge earlier today, and I tested everything, and I was like, okay, let's make sure it all works. I'm going to give it one more shot here. Okay, so back credit, and it crashed again. You know what? Future pinball. What are we going to do? So, oh no, I'm sorry, not Future Pinball. That was Visual Pinball 9. We're in Visual Pinball 10, which tells you how far pinballs come over time. So, sorry I don't get to show you Ace High. One of the neat things about Ace High, and I'll say this last thing before moving on, is Ace High was the last game where the flippers were always active. So your game ended, you could still sit there flipping the flippers. Definitely that, after that, they said, oh yeah, when the game ends, turn off the flippers. So anyway, that marked the end of an era. So I'm going to jump ahead a year, and we're going to go to 1958, and I'm going to show you Contest. Let's load this up here, and we'll change the screen around a little bit so this gets loaded up. So Contest, there's 1,100 of these, but that's just for Contest. They use these pretty much the same layout also with Rocket Ship and Atlas. But Contest had a kind of cool thing because it has a match feature. You're familiar with match where it matches the last digit, so you get a 1 in 10 chance of getting a free game. If two players both matched simultaneously. I've had this happen, and it's always a big deal when it happens with my friends. But when it happened on contest, you awarded 10 credits. So that's pretty cool. So let's start this up. This is another wood rail. Again, it would have had the cigarette holders on the side. And I'm going to play it as a 2-player game and see if we get lucky to do a double match. So here's my player 1. Get a chance for all the relays to set up. And player 2. So it's set for 2 players now. Could play up to 4 players, but yeah, I only feel like doing 2. So anyway, let's... one of the things I'm going to point out, this game auto feeds, whereas the original game would have been a separate lever where you push and it would feed the ball up manually. So we have a little bit of modern convenience here. Oh, I'm going to have to plunge harder than that. So we got 4 flippers. And we got these cool gates. So there, I've turned on the pop bumper. And into the gobble hole. So realistically, I want to keep away from those gobble holes and try to get it up to the lit pop bumpers as much as possible. Now, Visual Pinball 10 does a lot of spin. So you saw the ball spin in there pretty solid. Oh, geez, player 1's just in for a rough game. I think more beer is needed. So there's ball 2. So one of the things I like with a lot of these older games, I like those gates. You don't see them so much anymore. The most modern game I can think of with those switch gates is Medusa. So I mean that's not very modern at all. But I do like them. So if I can get that, oh geez, player 1's just not supposed to have a good game. And turn it off for player 2. Oh, and the ball spin. So again, if I hadn't mentioned it, it's probably my biggest complaint about. Okay, so the roto value is 500 points when lit. So I want to hit that center shot right now, which says 50. And that was 500 points. So that brings player 1 back into the game. Not bad. Of course, it's not a great score, but... Hi. Okay, so ball 5. This is our last ball. And into the gobble hole. That's 200 points. So, considering player 1's rough start, I think we've set some work for player 2 to do here. Okay, so right now the center target's not lit. It's not worth going for. I'm going to see if I can feed it back up the right and start hitting some of those targets that are lit. No such luck. And what did I hear? I heard a match, it sounded like. So I see, where is the match? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see. So this doesn't have the match counter like we're used to, but very clearly it did match. It gave me an extra credit. And because of that, I think we should play it again. So again, this is from 1958. And, we do have the benefit. Oh, geez, 3 points. Did you see that? 3 whole points. All right, I beat that already. I'm up to 5 points. 12 points. Down we go. Okay, still, that's better than 3 points. Player 1 has to make up for some lost time here. That would have been 100 points if I could have made that middle shot. But player 2 is running away with things with a massive 102 points. But again, out through the side. These old electromechanical games were not long playing balls usually. Player 1, what are you going to do? So I am expecting a lot of short ball times through this special. These old electromechanical games were not the modern epics that we're used to with half-hour-long ball play. But look at the artwork. Look at so they're carrying the whole theme of the competition with people playing pinball in the middle there. And cheerleaders and a marching band. It's like, I want cheerleaders and a marching band when I play pinball. I think that would be awesome. Okay, so player 1 came back a bit for a 500-point game, but is still less than half of what player 2's done, which 1,000 points feels like a half respectable game. I can easily see doing 2,000 points in a game with some of these, like 500-point shots. If you can hit those a couple times in a game. See, right now, that center shot's worth 400. So let's, can't do it. And drains. It's okay, 1 anyways. So anyway, contest, 1958. So, gonna jump ahead a year now. I'm gonna close that out. I thought about building up a nice front end so it all looked good, but I wanted to make sure the games worked, and I really spent a lot of time dialing things in and making sure. So we're going from 58 up to 59. Now, this is the era where I start loving some of the innovation because we start up with animated back glasses. This is super cool. You still got your 4 flippers, still have a couple holes in the field, but this field is actually a little less complicated. We've only got 1 player game, and this one steps away from the score reels and just gives us lights. Now, this is a huge scoring game. It's still a wood rail. I'm going to point out that this is a... If you look on the side of the graphics, you can actually see that those cigarette holders I was talking about earlier. Again, this is modernized a bit with an automatic ball feed. It would not have had that in real life. But we've got this great swimming theme, the high divers. Couldn't turn it on. And 100,000 points to go out. That's not huge. But what I really want to do is I want to see if I can get the ball up top and into those holes when lit. Because those holes, when they're lit, progress the diver, and you get your spinning. There we go. See this? So it's either 5 if it's not lit on the greens, or it'll advance 10 on spaces, which then gives you the points towards the end. You get a multiplier. Man, I did practice these. And in my practice game, I was doing 2 million. I didn't even do 1,000,000 points that game. I definitely got to play that again. So see, there you go. You start getting some of the saucer catches. Oh, I got my pop bumpers lit. That is some big points. So that's 100,000 a pop, right there. 100,000, 100,000. You want some points fast. That's even better than the divers. Now, here's the thing. I'm trying to avoid turning off the pop bumpers. As you can see how the on-off switches between the right and the left, which I think is really clever, because it's like you've got big score or kind of no score. Look at 3 million right away. That's pretty solid score. But my pop bumper's turned off, so if I want to get that big scoring happening again, what I should be doing is when the ball gets down low again, keep it in play. Or, if I can keep it in play, go ahead and try turning the pop bumpers back on again. Oh, there we go. About 300,000 there. And I like how it ranks your gameplay too. So right now, I'm just fair. I'm not good. I'm not excellent. Just fair. I mean, the game judges you. Now I'm good. I'm happy with that. Let's see if I can become an excellent player. There, I got my pops back on and out. I was hoping for some more points. Okay, this is my last ball. Let's see if I can break the 5 million mark. I should be able to do that. There we go. I got the pops on. It was 100,000. And I broke my 5 million. So that was something I was trying to do earlier, just so I could have my name up, because I like having my name up on these things. And it's a fun little check there with the yellow stickies. So anyway, I broke my 5 million mark. That's High Diver. Great game from 1959. I've played the real thing. It is a joy of a game to play. Thanks, Pinball Boy Germany. I just like things, and this is a meditative, slow game, and I can see the Bob Ross comparisons to how I play it. But yeah, so they made a little over 1,600 of these, so not quite 2,000 units. Not a huge production run, but still enough that you can find one kicking around. What am I going to play next? Oh, here we go. This one's a bit more rare. Sticking with 1959, I'm going to do Lightning Ball. I don't want that. I want that. There we go. So, so Lightning Ball was 1959, and this is another wood rail electromechanical. We're not up to the steel rails yet. I'll mention when we get there. Again, you can see how the numbers are painted into the back glass, and it advances the lights that are lit. And there's a star off to the right to show what it's matching. So that's how you got your free game, because your star is going to be one of the numbers off to the right, and if your score lines up with where the star lights up, free game. So one other thing I'm going to point out is during development, Wayne Neyens had a red line going from the left bump, from the flipper to the bumper to the center bumper to the right bumper, and then back to the flippers. And the artists and producers felt that was a little too easy, too obvious as to what you had to do. So what they did instead is they put lightning bolts there to kind of guide the way. Apparently in the gameplay, that's your ideal trajectory. So I'm going to see if I can get that orbit to go around the play field. So now you notice that the ball does not advance automatically. I actually have to push the button to get the ball into play, which is close to having that plunger rod. Okay. So the other thing I want to do is I want to see if I can light all of those lights throughout the gameplay. So I've got 2 of them. Trying to get up to the top. So I've got number 2. I need to get 3, 4, 5, and 6 to finish the set. And then those special, that hole there is worth however many 100,000 are lit. So right now I've got 2 of them lit. So that was 200,000 to lose the ball. Oh, push the button, get the ball in play. And that was a short ball. It also amuses me, if you look at the artwork, you'll see here just to the right of the plunger, or to the left of the plunger, I guess, over on the right-hand side of the field. You'll see where it says, for amusement only, no prizes, no wagering. And, of course, that goes back to the history of pinball as being the bingos, where they did gamble with these. This was absolutely a mob operation. Let's see if I can get some points happening here. I got stuff lit up. I don't want to go out the holes yet. This is pretty good, actually. Oh, he saves it. Yes. Okay. What's funny is there's no score reel going. It's actually just lighting up the numbers going a little bit. So that's 4.89 million. And the match would have been the 30. So I didn't quite get that. I didn't get my free game off of the match. But I did cross the replay threshold of 4.2 million. So the next free game would have been at 5 million, and so it would have kept going up and up and up and up. But yeah, so this is Lightning Ball. I'm going to thank Wax on this one because he redid the physics. The original was kind of bouncy, but if you watch this, this is... oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Check out that the back glass animation. I can't believe I didn't even mention that. If you look, you can see the marching band, how they progressed throughout the game. I still haven't done the orbit that was originally highlighted either. I should make a bit of a goal to get that going. Ah, there we go. I also love just these bright... So I don't own any physical pinball machines. is, as much as I enjoy playing real pinball, I've only got room for the one game. You know, this fits in my budget, and it also lets me play a whole bunch of games that I would never get to play otherwise. You know, like being able to line up. I think I've got 18 Neyens games to play today. And I'm going to apologize right up front. You know, having a special, I probably should have made sure I was pronouncing his name properly. But, yeah, so I've only got the one machine to play games on. I do participate in pinball tournaments. So I'm competitively ranked. This past week would have been Pinburg, which is one of the biggest pinball tournaments in the world. And, I know as this time last year was when I was at Pinburg. I actually met Jack Danger, who kind of inspired me to start streaming. I kind of... Oh, I was close. There we go. So that's a 2.5 million game. It sounded like it matched, and you can see how I advanced the wheel partway through. So I did get through some of the game story there in the back glass. Just another beautiful game. I love this artwork from this era. Oh, I should probably put my name in so the game doesn't feel totally neglected. 2.5 should not have earned a name, but that shows how little I've actually played this one. Nice. Yeah, I don't know if your impression was like mine, but he was just the nicest of guys. Really enjoyed getting to meet him and spend a little bit of time sharing the pinball with him. What do I have next? Do I have Death with Captain Kidd in? No, I did not. So I'm going to move on a little bit ahead. Next year, this is Merry-Go-Round from 1960. Now, Merry-Go-Round in 1960 marks a turning point. So partway through the production of Merry-Go-Round, they switched from wood rails to steel railed pinball machines. So this is the first steel rail Gottlieb pinball machine. And it's also fairly rare. According to production counts, they only made, 750 of them. The majority of them are steel rails. It's got this cool spinning target in the center that changes the value of the out holes in the middle. At this point, you still had games where you'd lose the ball rolling through the middle of the playfield. The plunger is automatic. Again, we've got virtual pinball here, so it's not a perfect reproduction, but it is beautiful. And while you can lose the ball out the side, or in the middle, there's only the center drain. There's no out lanes on the right and left, which is kind of a unique thing. Because that was a fairly well-established practice by this point. We've got 1960, but oh yeah, get it in there with the lit. So you get those pop bumpers lit, and you can see how the center spun there, and the values changed. So that was just a disc over the top of the holes. So the holes themselves didn't move, but another 200 points. Okay. Another 2. I'm really good at that 200 point. Let's see if I can spin that and get that to be 300 points. That seems to be the hole I want to be at. Pop bumpers are off. Free game there. That's nice. There we go. So I got the 300 up. 300's in the middle now in the front. And they're back to where it was last ball. Hey, nice talking to you, Pinball Boy Germany. Hope to meet you at one of the tournaments coming up someday. Ah, 300 points is almost there. Although the ball's still in place, so that's not a bad thing. So I actually want to go out. I was about to say, I want to drain down the middle because I had my bonus value up to 8, and it was 10 times when lit. So that would have been 800 points. Oh, actually, no, only 80. Okay, so it's better than I want in the middle. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. And so that's merry-go-round. You can just see the art style and the colors that they put into them. I'm really fortunate to see a lot of these reproduced nowadays. Oh, and I don't know if you notice looking, but again, the match feature is up in the back glass. So I did match for a free game in this. The last number I have is a 0. And up at the very, very top, you'll see the 0 from the match feature. So, and I love how it's integrated. I love the colors and the merry-go-round theme throughout the game. So 1960, merry-go-round, first steel-railed Gottlieb pinball machine. Definitely pretty cool. Now here's a game that I have played. This is in real life. It's a Spot a Card. It's from 1960. And this one's really neat because you're trying to get your cards like, most of the other card games, but there's these 4 holes that progress down to the right, and then just to the right of them is another gobble hole where you can lose the ball. But let's talk about it less and play it more. And where's my ball? So I have to, again, there's my manual lever. And this one is being shown as a wood rail. You see the cigarette holders on the side. I don't know if they did the cigarette holders on the steel rails. This would have been a steel rail game, though. So I don't know if somebody just put it on because they already had the template, or I love the flipper forms that provide our outlanes. Okay, there's the 2. So I've done the 2, the 10, the jack, and the ace so far. Ball 2. That ball was not as generous as the first one was. Oh, that's even worse. Okay. Ball 3 was a little on the rough side. Okay, let's see if I can do this cool transfer thing in the middle. Because I mean, that's one of the neat features. And you saw these in a few of Win Neyens games throughout the 60s, where they had these ball transfers across the playfield. Wow, okay. So 310. Let's drop a couple quarters in there and beat 310. So in we go. And out we go. 44 points. You know what? I'm going to do this crazy thing. And this is one of the things where you've got the balls that we fed in manually. There's nothing to prevent you from using them all at once. Okay, but obviously, judging from my score, that's not a good idea. So the match numbers kind of jump out at you. Okay, I was wrong. This is not the one that does the transfers. This one, whenever I hit the saucer that's lit there, it will give me whatever is indicated and lit down below the flippers. Two balls in, 94 points. That's let's do a bit better here. Those posts, those mid-playfield posts are so hard to get past. Really take a bit of work to... There's 20 points and another. So theoretically, if I was just to sit and go for that 200-point hole every ball, I could have 1,000 points as a whole game. Let's see if I can hit that. I haven't hit it at all yet. Okay, 382. So I am not the best at spot a card, apparently. But I do love these old card-themed games. You know, everybody's so elegantly dressed playing their cards around the table. It must have been a grand night out indeed. I mean, even then, you look at the artwork and there's like a mishmash of what's going on. You've got, you know, hearts, which is that for the suit, or is that, I mean, the hearts theme is pretty common throughout there. Even up on the back glass, you see all the cards are hearts as well. But yeah, you can, and what I like is the redundant lights showing which cards have been collected as well. And this is what you really want to happen in your game, is you can get that to sit there for a while. Advancing cards one at a time. And 10 points out. Still have yet to get that 200-point hole. I mean, that's more points than I've gotten in any single ball this whole time I've been playing. And the flippers are out. So what do I think? Should I do another one, or should I keep? Let's see, I'm 42 minutes in. I better actually pick up the pace if I want to get through most of my list. So anyway, that's spot a card. You know, another 1,200 of them made. Not a huge run, but this next one from 1961, Egghead, is another. This is a strange theme. You got the robot playing Tic Tac Toe with the smoking lady and the genius monitoring things in the back. You know, so I really don't know where they were going with this theme, but the Tic Tac Toe is actually pretty fun to do, because the pop bumpers don't do anything until you roll over one of the X or O indicators. So I didn't get any, there's not too many points there. Again, this was a push lever launch. I'm going to try to see if I can... Nope. So what I've got to do is I've got to hit over there without draining. Nope, that's not it. To light... Oh. So that would have been the way to light the O's. Still not there on the skill shot either. Stay in. It's not staying in. I have yet to do a single X or O. Let's really crank that plunger. I thought I was going to get one of them there. You see how it's hitting the pops and not scoring any points. Let's get up there. Let's get at least one extra. Okay, so the next one I hit is going to give me an O. So there's my O. And of course, you want to do the Tic Tac Toe. So if you complete a whole row of X's or O's, it gives you a free credit, which is pretty neat. But as you can see, it's not easy. So let's give myself one more shot at that and see if I can finish a row. Oh, I thought I was going to get that X. Yeah. Let's do the silly thing here. Hey, there we go. So I got my X. Play one ball off of the other. That's not a bad way to do it. I thought I could get the X there. Nope, not there either. Okay, so not the most useful, but I got two X's, which is better than I've done before. And out we go. Last ball. And out it goes. So you get the idea. Not an easy game. And a bizarre theme for a tic-tac-toe game. But yeah, and what they made 2100, so that was a fairly popular game. You know, anytime you break that 2000 mark on production, that means people were buying them, and you're gonna have a good chance of running into one of them then. So yeah, so that was the Egghead. Did I grab Flipper Fair? I did. So next year after that is Flipper Fair. So so Flipper Fair has the same playfield as was it Crosstown, which is released in '66. So this is an earlier game, 1961. I love the cross playfield swing gate at the top. I mentioned I like those gates there. It's got your basic 4 lanes coming down. You want to light up the pop bumpers. What's interesting is this is an add-a-ball game. So it tells you how many balls there are to play, but you can light this center target, and if you've got that center light on, you can actually earn free balls and keep the game going. So again, the plunger's missing here, so we gotta push a button instead of plunge the ball. I do like that added bit of realism that it doesn't automatically feed. And if I did want to get silly, I could launch multiple balls. Oh, but this one's got a system in place that only lets me do one at a time. Points and out. Get another one that's lit. 1, 2, 3, 4. We like that. Okay. Oh, I had the Add-A-Ball lit, but cycled it through a little too quickly. So 2 balls left. 1 ball after this. So usually in most of the pinball tournaments I play in... Oh, that was my last ball. Okay. So usually in the pinball tournaments I play in, there's no extra balls. It would be too easy with the number of games starting in the 70s where you could earn extra balls. And some of these tournaments would just last forever and ever and ever. As this already happens with some players who are pretty good at pinball. But when it comes to the Add-A-Ball games, in the tournaments you're usually allowed to play any balls you earn because it's actually part of the game as well. Even the good players don't spend that long on these. There's my Add-A-Ball. I blew it. I gotta advance it back up again. So worth 100 points. Okay, push the plunger, get the ball into play. Light my rollover. So all my points are over on the right-hand side of the play field right now. So I like to, when I think of games that I grew up playing in the arcade, there was a whole series of the carnival games. You know, you got your Comet and the Hurricane, and what's the third one in the series? The Comet, the Hurricane, and the Cyclone. And I can definitely see some inspiration for that in these old circus games. You know, you look at the circus artwork, and the theme lends itself to pinball. I mean, it's festive, it's fun. Hey, I broke my high score. It's not a huge game either. I think a big score should be upwards of 2,000. I'm sure that with a bit of practice I could get there, especially working the Add-A-Ball a bit more. But yeah, that's Flipper Fair. 1961. Okay, now we're going to jump up to 1962. Oh, by the way, there was just over 1,100 units of Flipper Fair made. So not one of the more common ones, but the fact that they reused the layout for Crosstown later on shows that there's some popularity, and it was, you know, actually a solid game. The Olympics, 1962. Now, this one's kind of, there's a weird thing. I've been trying to find out why the change was made. This one's modeled after a later run. You can see that because on the left-hand side, you've got Chicago, London, and then there's Caracas. And Caracas is also in the right outlane here as well. So in the first run, instead of Caracas, it was Buenos Aires. I haven't been able to find a reason why they changed it from Buenos Aires to Caracas. Why, what's wrong with Argentina or Venezuela? But anyway, that was a change that was in there. Let's drop some coins. And again, this one was a push rod. You can usually tell the push rod launches because they've got this feed from the right that comes up and is protected there. I like the opening skill shot with the bumpers between the lanes. There we go. That New York switch is a little sticky. It doesn't always register when you roll over it, which is weird for a digital switch. It's like, oh yeah, that digital switch is going to happen sometimes, but not others. Caracas. So now in this one, it doesn't line up the lights in the back glass with the playfield lights, but I believe that the original game did. So as you finish the rollovers here and turned out the lights, it would also turn out the lights, the corresponding lights in the back glass. Okay, last ball here. I did not do very well there. That's not an impressive score. Let's do one more of those before moving on to the next game. I don't know if this will let me do the multi-ball. Okay, that's all 5 balls in play. And I did not do as well. Okay, so oh well. The Olympics from as seen by Wayne Neyens back in 1962. So now they did make 2,200 of those, but that was not as popular as this next game. Oh, come on. I did do this, yes? Oh, okay. So this one says 1969, but the original playfield would have been racquetball. And what's neat is the way the balls would roll and collect in the back glass. So this was the same playfield used again in 1969 for MIBs, because we all know you need a marble-themed pinball machine. It was a real fancy game where everybody would dress up and gather around with ladies and play marbles. But yeah, so this was used for racquetball and also in 64, Bowling Queen. I do believe the game should have chimes. So in 69, this one had the automatic ball feed, and it still came out from the right. I'm not entirely sure if... Oh no, it came from the left. So this would have been the proper automated ball feed in 69. And you can see as I'm rolling over each light, it's adding the ball in the back glass there. Hey. There we go, there's another one. 2,700 points. That's not a great game of marbles. Let's do another one here. have the chap with the bowler hat in the background. Pay attention to my amazing game where I've got 15 points in ball 1. And 1,000 points in ball 2. So you can see each one of those marbles is worth $1,000. They're worth 500, half $1,000. My bad. But you've only got the 10 marbles. Feels like this should be an add-a-ball game. Okay, so I can get 100 points shooting the right target. I can try for those other ones. I'm going to try... that's 500 points. Still, 3,800 is better than my first game was. So originally as a racquetball and eventually growing into Mibs over the course of the decade. You're Bowling Queen as well. So what do we have next? Okay, 1963. Big Casino. There you are. So this one's kind of neat because you're used to the match score at the end of the game where it matches your last number. Now, if you look up top, you'll see there's actually 2 match numbers lit right now. And what happens is if you finish the 1, 2, 3 here at the bottom of the playfield, it actually gives you 2 chances to match your last number for a free game. So when you're dropping a dime a game, you know, that's kind of a nice little feature to be able to have twice the odds. So you get 20% instead of 10% chance of matching for a free game. Right. Of course, you got to go over the rollovers to make that happen. So, and you see the ball feeds from the right here again, which, you know, from 1963 is what you'd be expecting. See if I can make that skill shot. Nope, missed it. Out it goes. 273 points. Not even 100 points a ball. So the score to beat here is 1,500. It says so right on the back line. And I got a third of that. Let's see if I can do better. So they're saying your first replay at 900 points on this. So 500 is probably fairly average of the game. There's that number 3 again. Hi. There is something about card-themed games that just works for pinball. Hey, there we go. So I had the double match. So 9 and 0. I matched. I got a free game. That means I have to play again. Okay, and my 1. There's my 3. Those are the 2 easy ones. It's almost like I've made the goal of the game to lose the ball in the 1, 2, 3. Hey, there we go. Okay, so this is my last ball. So I've done my 1, 2, 3. So no matter what, I'm going to get the 2 numbers to try matching again. So I got a number 9, 3, and a 7. Did not match. So Big Casino. Another great card-themed game. One of the things that really strikes me is I'm going through these different Wayne Neyens games, and I don't see the same sort of thing used over and over again. There's a ton of variety here. It's not like you can look at one of these and say, oh, that's a Wayne Neyens game. It's got orbits, so it's loopy and fast, or it's like all of these games have a unique character. I mean, the man did, I read somewhere, over 180 different games. Now, he's reused a couple playfield designs in there, but still, it's 180 games is a ton of work. And then to be able to come up with just new stuff all the time, continually being innovative. Now, this game, next one here is from 1963, is probably one of his more famous ones. They made over 3,500 of these, so it's fairly common, and it's Gigi. So you get your carnival theme, and your goal is to complete the different colored caps of the same thing, and it resets every ball. This was an extremely popular game. And a lot of really good use of the bumpers, I find, especially with them being lit up. And it's just a good, fun game to play. You'll note the fancy spelling on special when lit on the left and right there. It is a special way. Okay. So I haven't actually finished a full set of either the red or the yellow yet. It doesn't look like I'm on the road to do it either. But it is worth pointing out again how different this is from the layout of any of the other games. I mean, obviously you've got the same line work from our other pinball artists. And I really should do a pinball artist at some point as well. But for now, it's the designers that bring the magic for me. It's the variety of the different games you get to play. And this is actually one of the big reasons I like virtual pinball. Is it's like, here I am. I'm an hour into this, and I've now played, 10 different games? 8 or 9. Anyway, whatever. I love getting to go through this history and see how they all work. Let's do that one more time. Okay, we'll go for the 7 or the 2 here. Let's do the 7. Or not. There we go. Now we need the 2. There we go. So I finished all the red bumpers. I got an advance. And that was worth a whopping 49 points. Or did I don't think I actually got 1,000 for it. Yeah, no, it lit up 1,000. Okay, let's see if I can get up into those yellow pops. I'm going to try going between the 4 and 5 here. Something else I've seen, again, this is, I think about newer games. I think of Python Angelo and his artwork. And there's little stuff tucked away into the art here. The happy soul, the barking dogs, just a little bit of comedy tucked into the artwork, along with instructions on what becomes special when lit and what's worth my points. But we got barking dogs there. That's just silly fun. Last ball. Something else I appreciate from this era is the scores aren't huge. I mean, if you 777 points, that feels like I did a half decent game. And I think in modern games, Wizard of Oz kind of brought back that deflated scoring, where you're not looking at millions anymore. So anyway, that was GG from 1963. Now here's the next big game. So 1963 was a big year for a lot of people. I know I've run into this one a few times. This is Slick Chick. Now in the same year, so remember the layout of those pop bumpers. Now we're again spelling things with pop bumpers, but now we've got a big X. And we actually have to work Slick Chick from the left to the right. But if we get the skill shot, we can... let's see if I can get a skill shot. Spell one whole word. There it is. There's chick for me. And then I've got just the C and the K. Oh, just the K, and I finish chick. There we go. And it resets. And I get to start the whole thing all over again. Which is fine, because it's kind of fun. And I did a massive 77 points. There we go. And I spelled the chick with the rollover, the slick, I guess. So now I've got to work my way back up to the top to get that S, and then work my way through them. So let's get my, oh, I didn't get the skill shot, but so I've got the entire left side taken care of. I do like the bumpers behind the flippers. With these shorter flippers, having a little extra help goes a long way. There we go. So it's little chick again. And there's the game. 395 points. Matched with an 8. Again, you're gonna see a ton of these. They made 4,500. That was a huge run of games, and so it was very popular. Ladies dressed up with cartoon rabbits, and then you got the barbershop quartet back there. So you're imagining your fancy night out, and the glamour of the '60s brought to you through pinball. So what do I have next? Aha! Well, we're going to move up another year with another wildly popular game. This is Shipmates from 1964. They made over 5,000 of these. Again, this is one I've definitely seen in person. And this is a pro Navy theme. 4 players. I love 4-player games. It makes it fun. I'm going to do a 2-player game and just play through it once. Feed comes up from the right here, but the virtual machine. Now, the goal in the skill shot is to hit the innermost lane. If you look, there's a target in the middle here. And right now I've got it ×1. So 3, if I hit that center target there, I would have gotten a whole 3 points. But by hitting that, I've made the center target worth 100 times that. So if I had hit that center shot, that's worth 100 points. Of course, I got to hit it to get it. But so the skill shot plays a lot with where your points are in this and what you're able to get. Did I start a 3-player game? I did start a 3-player game. So right now I don't care about the center shot too much because it's only worth 1 up. Now it's worth 100 times. Now it's 10 times. Let's see if I can advance that back to 100. Up or drain. So that's the best ball yet for any 1 player. That's the worst ball yet. But look at, so we had 2 games in a row. So 1963 was loaded with pop bumpers. Now it still has 4 pop bumpers. And they're not laid out, in your standard format to get them trapped between them. They're actually targets to work for. But, now your goal is the center target with your skill shot. There we go. Let's see if I can do this. 200 points. I was so excited because I got the 200 points. I just let the ball go right by. Player 3. Get the 10 times value. That's not bad. Oh, down to 1 time value. 10, that's good. So 20 points on that shot. That's okay. But to come up with these ideas where you're not chasing the same goal, it's like, okay, you got 3 lanes at the top, choose your rollover, spell all 3 of the lanes, you get your bonus multiplier up. It's like modern games have a number of scoring conventions that we just come to accept. It's like, okay, you hit the same target 6 times and start a mode related to that target. Okay, ball 5 here. These games, you really had a different strategy from game to game, and you had to sit and think about it. And it was a little harder because you didn't have the same exact set of layout from game to game. You're working through. I think this is the last game. Last ball. out we go. And that's our game. So 500, 931, 936. So player 3 wins by 5 points. What a fun game. That's Shipmates from 1964. So next up, one of my favorite back glasses. 1965. We're gonna jump ahead a year. Not jump, but take another step. And think of the games I'm actually skipping here, because he did 180 games. Each year he did 8 to 10 games. And I'm only doing 1 or 2 per year. So I'm kind of cherry picking favorites. Buckaroo, this animated back glass is a hoot to see in person. So you still have the ball feeding from the right here. We got 4 lanes, 6 pop bumpers this time, and center targets again, but without our multiplier. So what you've got here is you've got your roto value. Oh, there, see that kick? I love that kick. So now, so what I'm going to try to do is I'm trying to advance the numbers. So I got to get this 2. Oh, didn't get the 2. Thank goodness we got that center post. I have yet to get any of those center numbers. Okay. So it's funny. I'm just looking at the playfield art. I don't know if anybody ever watched Malcolm in the Middle. But Otto had the ranch where he let later stuff. I really should work some of those numbers. Ooh, out under the flipper. So let's try this again. So this time I'm going to see if I can work my way through all 7 numbers. So the number 1 was lit. I roll over the right. It lit my number 1 for me. So if I'm going to get my numbers one way or the other, that's one way to get them. There's my 7. So I've bookended the outside numbers. 2 balls, 2 numbers. And I got 5 balls, so I've got to figure a better way to be more efficient. There's my 2. There's my 6. Oh, come on, I got the 2. You should have given me that. I don't need the 7. Could have used the 2. Okay, last ball. And I do love watching the horse kick the guy in the back glass. I mean, that's just good comedy. There's my 3. Seven I didn't need. A 2. So I got most of the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. And 891 points. That's definitely an improvement over the first game. I could see myself spending quite a bit of time playing Buckaroo. So that version was the Add-A-Ball, but they also made Cowpoke, which was a replay version. Same basic artwork, same back glass. between the two of them, there's what, almost 3,000 were made between the two versions of Buckaroo and Cowpoke. We're going to step up to 1965. Now, 1965 is pretty much when Wayne Neyens ended the run as the lead of design. Not that he ran out of ideas, he was definitely feeding ideas to the team, but he worked on this one with Ed Krinsky, and actually, nope, I take that back. Ed Krinsky became the lead. This one was all Wayne Neyens here. Don't want to give credit where it's not due yet. So we got the guy under the table with a Joker. And this is the one I was thinking about earlier, where the ball feeds across the playfield. It's a cool mechanism to see. And so you're trying to advance your aces and kings. And some neat sequences with this. Again, we're dealing with cards, but it's not the same game over and over again. It's something new all the time. Oh, get in there. There we go. So I need to get more of my letters lit, more of my cards lit, so that when I start feeding it across that 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right, I get all the points. I will say, in the real thing, I've also seen it where you don't reliably get the transfer from hole to hole. It will, it'll do the ace, and then it'll hit the king, but then it goes for the queen, and just some irregularities in the playfield, and it doesn't quite settle in. Okay, I'm having a rip-roaring game. 700 points on ball 2. And this is one of those games where the points definitely build as the game goes. As you get more cards lit, you're going to get a better score. See, each time you hit those transfers, as you get more cards lit, they're worth more points. So I'm going to see if I can dump it up there for that jack way at the back. Oh, almost there. Look at that. And there's the points again. I got all my aces lit. I got 3 of the 4 kings. There's my second 3 jacks now. Get up there. Get that queen. Okay, and I still got 2 balls to go. I'm already at 1,500. Nice. Whew. And that's what I get for noticing how well I'm doing. You ever notice that when you're playing pinball? It's like, wow, I'm playing really good. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, you're not. Get in there. Okay, now, let's see if I can... I'll take the queens. That's what I wanted. And so what's awesome here is that I've gone over 2,000 points. And through the modern joys of digital pinball, it's going to keep track of that 2,000 point score for me, even though it only shows 1,077 there. So that was a solid game. kind of a Wild West. It's interesting. The back glass is a Wild West saloon, but down here you got like an older lady, you got a queen. Again, the artwork has themes carried throughout it, but it doesn't always connect. But I love the flow of it. I love seeing the progression of those letters and how you get the rows nice and clean. I definitely do enjoy these simpler times. So, okay, like I said, after Kings and Queens, that's when Ed Krinsky took over most of the design work. Here's a game from 1968 that's Ed Krinsky, but also does credit Wayne Neyens and Steve Kirk. So, and it's interesting that it credits Steve Kirk and there's no post in the middle because the famous Kirk post is there. This is a gorgeous reproduction. I love the way they've done the lights. There's some playfield wear. You see the flaking. Still in nice condition. Paul Bunyan 2-player game. What do I have notes here? Yeah, so they made 1,900 of these. I'm going to play it as a 2-player game. So 2 players there, 6 flippers. So really the goal is to keep it up in those top 2 flippers, going back and forth between that gate as much as you can. Spelling ABC up at the top or mirrors the lower ABC. And if you get all 3 of the ABC, that's worth 100 points right there. There's my B. C. Oh. So I'm realizing I'm skipping some of the notes I've got here. I was looking back to Slick Chick, and anybody who's ever gotten to open up a pinball machine is probably familiar with the latches underneath and the lock bar that comes up and how you slide the glass out. Well, Slick Chick has the distinction of being the last game where they used wing nuts to hold the lock bar in place. If you can imagine having to get inside the coin door and then spin a wing nut, 2 wing nuts actually, to get the glass off so you could get a ball stuck or something that's crammed. I mean, that would have been a real pain. Nowadays, actually the latest latches I like are even easier than the old. Well, it's relative. It's cheaper, at least. So, okay, how are we doing? So, and I got the match for the 2 on second player, and that's Paul Bunyan, 2-player classic from 1968. So I'm gonna jump ahead. This isn't the end, but it is a notable point because this is the last game where Wayne Neyens is given the creative nod with it, and that is the Spirit of 76. Now, the Spirit of 76 is the 4-player version. Pioneer is the 2-player version, and they also made a 2-player New York game because 1976 is the year that Roger Sharp won his famous game in the state of New York that made it that it was not, pinball was not gambling. So anyway, this is really a classic game. I know a lot of people have seen these. This game is also partially responsible for me getting into digital pinball, because the guy who gave me my first virtual pinball machine grew up with the Spirit of 76 in his basement, and he really wanted to play the Spirit of 76 virtually, and built his but this is before Visual Pinball 10. It was like Visual Pinball 6 or whatever, which is why he gave it to me. It's on a Core 2 Duo. It was really unique machine. And what's funny is I don't have any of the parts from that in this machine anymore. I think I might have two of the buttons I'm using now, but that's about it. Visual Pinball 10 has definitely come a long way. So this is one of those games that has a number of stories around it. Probably the best of the stories would be Wayne Neyens sitting around with the other guys, and they're like, this is going to have a good run. They were thinking, you know what, we'll probably get like 4,000 or 5,000 out of this. And Wayne says, oh, you know what, we'll get over 10 easy. And they're like, yeah, right. You know what? If it goes to 10,000, we'll give you game number 10,001. And don't you know, there were 10,300 Spirit of 76s made. And number 10,001 was hand-delivered to Wayne Neyens at home. So what a great way to round out his career was the Spirit of 76. The same year that Roger Sharp showed pinball is a game of skill, with the famous game of I forget the name of it now. Anyway, it was on a Gottlieb. But yeah, this is you're probably gonna find a lot of these if you go looking for them. This, being one of the most, I think this was the #1 produced Gottlieb game. Up until no, I think this is the #1. I'd have to double check. I'm bad with my numbers. I should know this. But I like to think of Wayne Neyens with this thing at home, down in the basement. He talks about having had a pinball machine in his basement, and his neighbor being, and I don't believe it was this one. It could have been. But anyway, his neighbor was a encyclopedia salesman, and Wayne traded one of his pinball machines for a set of encyclopedias, which did not make his kids happy. So I was going to show a Spanish game called Basketball by a company called, what is it? IDSA. I forget what that stands for. They only made 3 games ever. But I was going through the spreadsheet, and it was credited to Wayne Neyens, and I realized he never did any 1980s basketball-themed pinballs in Spain. But what he did do was his second game. I remember way back when I was talking about College Days. If you're looking there in the corner, you'll see that College Days has been looking at you the whole time. So College Days was his first game. Wayne's second game was Basketball. So if you see somebody with a basketball game from the 80s in Spain with half-dressed women playing against aliens, it's not Wayne Neyens. No, but it is a fun game. So the last game I will bring up, though, is based on a Wayne Neyens game, and he's actually credited with this. So if you look at where is it? Continental Cafe. So they only made like 1,500 Continental Cafes. Not a hugely popular game. But in 2011, 2012, Whiz-Bang rebuilt a Continental Cafe, new artwork, added some sound and some brought out Whoa Nelly Big Juicy Melons, ripe and ready. Now, this game has actually been reskinned 2 other times. There's a Pabst Blue Ribbon Can Smacker. And then my favorite of the 3 is Primus. Because the Primus game just is awesome. Les Claypool. You get a really nice selection of Primus music. Last year at Pinburg, I played more Primus than any other game. Actually, if you look at the Jurassic Park trailer video from Stern, you can see me in the background playing Primus, which is kind of funny. But that was pointed out to me by one of my friends who was looking at the footage. He's like, "That's Joe." Yeah. But yeah, so this is Whoa Nelly Big Juicy Melons. And this is purely adolescent fantasy, double entendre humor. I can play better than this. I haven't even gone for the skill shot. That's 50 points I keep giving up every time. The real points in this game are hitting that 200-point target. Oh.
On WDD.
And I still didn't go for the skill shot.
Did you meet my sister?
Okay, I can do better than 600 points. That is not a great game. I mean, honestly, I like a number of the older games better. I'm kind of curious what this 4329 is hiding in the melon patch. Oh, I get the ball back.
You know, we ain't had rain in a couple of weeks. I hope we don't get the rhubarb.
Did you meet my sister?
Yes, Fluffy, Nellie is hot. Not to mention her 2 sisters, Ellen and Helen.
On the left.
Yeah, see, and that's the whole thing with a lot of the Wayne Neyens games. You're working for every point you get, which is funny I say that because if you look way back at the beginning, some of the oldest games I played, back at the beginning of this special, I I had a 5 million point game.
One called Melancholy by the Dixie Dog. Oh.
Let's see if I can get this together. Get me, there we go, 200 points. So those 200 point shots are really what you should be focusing on with this game.
It's on WDD.
And that ball just wants to go all the way around. Does not want to give me that skill shot. And it does want to go down the middle. So
Not every game can last forever.
that ends my review of Wayne Neyens' career. I mean, out of 180 games produced, to see his influence still running today. Yeah.
You need to stop the broadcast for a moment, please.
Okay. And I'm going to end things right there. I thank you for tuning in. I hope everybody stays healthy and take care.